If you're pouring your heart into your podcast, but still struggling to turn those listeners into paying clients, I've got something just for you. Imagine having a clear, simple plan to turn your listeners into buyers without relying on a huge audience or spending hours on social media. That's exactly what we'll create together in a podcast profit plan discovery call. During this free 20-minute call, I'll help you discover more opportunities for profit in your podcast and give you the next best step to turn your show into a client attracting machine. If I've got an offer that will help you expedite this process, then we can also discuss working together. Book your free podcast profit plan discovery call now by going to podcastingformoms.co/profit plan or by clicking the link in the show notes. I can't wait to chat with you. So you've heard me mention it a few times now, the minimum viable podcast framework. But you might be wondering, okay, Jenny, but what actually is it? Is it just for launching? Can it help if I already have a podcast? Is it just about doing less? Well, in today's episode, I'm breaking down exactly what a minimum viable podcast is, how it helps you cut the fluff, simplify your process, and actually enjoy podcasting again, whether you're just getting started or you've been at it for a while and need a reset. If you want a podcasting approach that works with your busy mom life instead of against it, then this episode's for you. Welcome to Podcasting for Moms, the show for moms in business ready to start, grow, and scale a podcast that turns their listeners into buyers. I'm Jenny Soneson, a podcast strategist and fellow mom entrepreneur. You're in the right place if you want to learn how to start and grow a podcast that attracts your ideal clients and really does the heavy lifting for you when it comes to selling your offers, all while balancing life as a busy mom. Are you ready to create a podcast that grows your income, impact, and influence? Let's make podcasting work for you because as moms, we know how to get things done. All right, let's jump into the episode. Hey, and welcome back to Podcasting for Moms, the show where we believe that your voice matters, your podcast can grow your business, and your time is too precious to waste doing this the hard way. We're smack in the middle of the minimum viable podcast series, and today's episode is one where I answer the big question. Okay, Jenny, but what actually is a minimum viable podcast? Well, this is the framework that I use with every single one of my coaching clients, and it's the foundation inside my membership, Moms Behind the Mic Society. Because if you're a mom building a business and a podcast in the margins of your day, you need a podcasting system that's actually designed for real life. Now, if you're thinking, okay, cool, Jenny, but I already have a podcast. Does this apply to me too? The answer is 1,000% yes. This framework isn't just for launching, it's for realigning. It's for when your show has drifted, when your workflow feels clunky, or when consistency is slipping. The MVP approach helps you get back to the version of your podcast that's simple, strategic, and sustainable. So let's dig in. So first up, what does minimum viable even mean? If you've heard the term minimum viable product in the startup world, it basically means the simplest version of something that still delivers real value. So when I say minimum viable podcast, I'm not talking about a bare minimum or a low effort podcast. I'm talking about building a show that's clear in its message, strategic in its structure, simple in its setup, and sustainable in your weekly rhythm, all while still giving your audience massive value. It's the lean, focused version of your podcast that allows you to launch faster, show up consistently, and grow with intention, even if you're feeling stretched thin at home or your to-do list is giving you a total panic attack. So let's talk about the 4 core elements of the MVP framework. So first up, we have the M, which is mission and message. So you've got to know why you're podcasting and who you're speaking to. This gets woven into your trailer, your intro, outro, and your episode content. Think of it like your podcast compass. It keeps you from veering off track and helps you attract the right listeners from the jump. Then we have the V, viable content plan. So we map out just the first 3 to 5 episodes that do the most heavy lifting. So the first one's your trailer, then we have your origin story, then we have your mission plus message, then we have a quick win or value-packed episode. This is your launch pad. No 12-week calendar needed. Then we have simple tech and workflow. You don't need 10 tools to launch your podcast. Inside the MVP framework, we focus on the tech you actually need, how to keep your setup minimal, and a repeatable workflow you can rinse and reuse every single week. This is what keeps you from quitting after episode 6. And then the last thing is support and strategy. This part is key. Whether it's through one-on-one coaching or inside Moms Behind the Mic Society, having a place to ask questions, get feedback, and make real progress without the second-guessing spiral is everything. You don't have to do this alone, and honestly, I don't think you should. So the point of an MVP podcast isn't just to get your podcast launched. The point is to launch with clarity and confidence so that your show is set up to support your business, your goals, and your life from the very first episode. This is what allows your podcast to grow with you, not become one more thing that you feel like you're failing in. Whether you're starting from scratch or reworking an existing show, the MVP framework meets you right where you are and helps you build a version of your podcast that actually fits your life. Okay, so now you have a better idea of what a minimum viable podcast really is and why it matters. In the next episode, I'm going to be walking you through a real-life example of a mom who launched her show with the MVP framework. You'll hear how she went from, I have no time and no clue where to start, to launching a podcast that supports her business with just a few hours a week. It's going to be really good, so I'm excited for you to hear that. If this episode has you going, oh my gosh, yes, this is exactly what I need, then I've got 2 ways that I can help you make that happen. The first one is one-on-one coaching, so you can work with me directly to build your MVP plan from scratch. And the second option I have is the Moms Behind the Mic Society, which is my membership for mom podcasters who want strategy, systems, and sustainable growth, all in a supportive community. Either way, you don't have to piece this together by yourself. I'm here to help make it doable and, dare I say, fun? Links are in the show notes as always. Until next time, remember, you get to decide what your version of success looks like, and your podcast should support that, not stress you out. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for tuning into Podcasting for Moms. I hope today's episode gave you the tools and inspiration you need to make your podcast work smarter, not harder. If you love what you heard, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. It means the world and helps other moms in business find the show. For more tips, resources, and support, head to podcastingformoms.co. Remember, you're not just building a podcast, you're building your legacy. Until next time, friends.